So, I've had the iPhone 15 Pro Max in my possession for the last 10 days, and I want to tell you everything I love about it, and also some of those things I also hate about it too. Doing a 10-day review is a little bit different to some other people out there who do, say, a 7-day review. The main reason why I like to cover a 10-day review is because I managed to get 2 weekends inside that. And at the end of the day, I always feel that at weekends, you use your phone a little bit more. So first of all, let's rewind back to the unboxing experience and also how I felt at the time when I first unboxed this new iPhone. Now, if you joined me for the unboxing, as you can see here, the unboxing experience was very similar to any other iPhone experience unboxing since the iPhone 12. But I have to admit, the first thing I did notice, what I absolutely love about this new iPhone, is definitely the way it feels inside your hand. Compared to, say, the iPhone 14 Pro Max and iPhone 13 Pro Max and 12 Pro Max, it just feels more comfortable. I cannot explain it in your hands, even though, for example, if you compared it to another iPhone from a bit of a distance, you wouldn't really actually notice it. But until you actually hold one of these in your hand without a case, yeah, it definitely feels different, and it does definitely feel kind of more of a premium feel to, say, the actual rail bars on the actual side here, and also that titanium look gives it that extra premium kind of feel. Now, this also leads me on to something I don't really like, what I'm actually going to say I actually hate about the iPhone, and that is it's a real fingerprint magnet. As you can see here, it's got loads of fingerprints on it, and I'll be deadly honest with you, as much as I say it feels great in your hand without a case on, I've had a case on this phone most of the time, so a lot of these fingerprints that you're seeing right here are actually old ones. Now, Apple's saying that you can use like a microfiber cloth to clean it up, and yeah, they do restore back, but the second that you touch it again, guess what? I've got fingerprints all over it again, so forget that. That doesn't really work at all, unless you're always cleaning up your iPhone every single night, and then basically, yeah, just don't touch it ever again. So yeah, I do think that is one thing what does let down the phone quite a bit. Now, in my first sort of 48 hours of owning this actual iPhone, to me, it didn't really feel that much different, to be honest. I had the silent button still set on the action button. I hadn't really tweaked anything about it. And to be deadly honest, the actual battery life was lasting about as long as what I had with my iPhone 14 Pro Max. I guess that is a positivity because of the A17 Pro inside it, what is a little bit more powerful than we got with, say, the A16 from last year. But from my point of view, like I said, I can't think of any negatives at all with actual battery life. It's been absolutely superb, just as good to say as an iPhone 13 Pro Max or an iPhone 14 Pro Max. Now, as the days continued on in testing out my iPhone, so sort of day 3 to day 5, I actually started customizing the phone a little bit more the way I wanted it. So I actually did change the action button, and I changed it to the camera option that you can see right here. And boy, when I changed it to this, it really changed a lot of things. So for example, as you know guys, I record a lot of my footage on my actual iPhone, mainly of a lot of the B-roll and bits and pieces like that, and having the action button is really useful. Now don't get me wrong, you can always press like the volume up button to start a recording, but just having the action button to actually launch open the actual sort of camera settings and then press it again to actually sort of just take a photo or start recording, you won't believe it how handy it really is until you actually set it for it. Now, I know a lot of other people have actually set up the action button for many other things, and the great thing is you can even customize it. I've actually heard that people have actually even like started opening up their garage with it, for example, by pressing the action button, which is quite useful sort of thing what you can do. So in my opinion, I do really love this new action button. But the only thing I would say, it's not really probably something I hate, it's something what needs to change probably in the future, and I'm hoping this will come with iOS 18, is it'd be great if the action button could do more. So for example, if you could double tap it quickly, and for example it'd open up a different app, or even say a triple sort of one, or for example you could even set up customized sort of ways of holding down like the action button. That would be really cool to see in iOS 18, for example, because I would love to have many other functions to use with this action button, because you know, we're all like it, we're all lazy, we can't be bothered to go scrolling through our menu system to find all our apps and all our abilities. So you know, maybe customizing it with, say, with free abilities on the action button would be really cool to see in the future. Moving on to the USB-C port that we have right here, I began to realize how much useful this was as I sort of began to getting from sort of day 4 to the end of the week, my first 7 days with this iPhone. I learned that you could practically plug in anything USB-C into this iPhone. You could charge up your AirPods, your Apple Watch on the go, and you wouldn't believe how useful that really is. And as I showed in my unboxing video, if you still got those sort of lightning sort of AirPods, you can still charge them up, what is really, really useful. So you don't have to buy the USB-C case. I know it's useful to have USB-C on a phone and also on, say, your AirPods, but if you're on the go and like me, then having that cable just in your bag and just whipping it into your phone and charging up your AirPods, just give it an extra hour or two sort of listening time, is really, really useful. I've also found it super useful that I can charge up other iPhones too, and also I found that it's really cool to use ProRes video recording on the actual external hard drives. The only main thing I'd probably say I hate about that is that you have to go through a lot of menu settings to get to this option. It's not even in the camera app itself. You have to go into settings and you have to turn it on, and the abilities are a little bit fiddly to find. And then if you want to switch it all off again and just start using the normal iPhone, it's just a bit silly, and it could just be a lot easier. I think Apple should introduce a function actually inside the camera app to actually make that a little bit easier to actually record onto external drives. But when you can record onto ProRes onto your external drive, it is super useful that you can do that. The only other thing I would say that really, really does let down the phone recording is that you cannot just like record standard video onto the USB drive. So say if you're just recording in the sort of standard sort of MP4 format, what comes just generally just on the actual iPhone, you can't like plug in external drive and just start recording straight away. It will not allow you to do that. Don't get me wrong, you can go into the Files app and you can sort of transfer your media over to an external drive, but to be honest, you could do this before with a lightning cable, and you could plug it into a MacBook, for example, and you'd probably transfer all your data over to your MacBook or your laptop anyway. So really there was no kind of differences there. But overall for me, I'm really happy that USB-C has come along finally to the iPhone, and you can plug it into monitors, for example, to sort of replicate your display. And I'll be honest with you, I have made the little mistake once or twice of picking up a lightning cable and trying to plug it in and then realizing, oh yeah, it's not this anymore, it's USB-C. And I'm sure that was going to happen to a lot of you guys who are switching over to USB-C. So moving on to around about day 6 and day 8, this is where things started appearing more in the media about iPhones overheating and getting super hot. Now for me, up to this point, I hadn't really noticed my iPhone getting any hotter. Now I did make a video doing some tests to find out if the iPhone does get hotter, and generally it does get a little bit hotter than say an iPhone 14 Pro Max. Now what I would say is it burning off my fingers? Is it boiling hot to the touch? It's not. It is quite warm, I'm going to say that. There have been moments it is quite warm. In my opinion, I think it is warm as it can get. Any hotter, yeah, there's going to be a problem going forward. And I'm hoping that would say the iPhone 16 Pro Max, for example, and in the future with other iPhones, that Apple kind of make a sort of a vapor cooling system or something like this to actually help cool down the iPhone. But for now, I think it's as hot as it can get. And I have heard recently that Apple are going to be releasing out a patch coming soon to actually sort of fix the issues. But I think they're just going to probably underclock it or, undervolt the actual CPU. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to do some benchmarks to see what the difference will be there, and I'll be doing some tests on that. Then moving on to sort of day 7 to day 10, I started exploring more with these cameras. So obviously I did talk about that I use ProRes and things like this, but let me tell you about the actual photography and actual videos and abilities like that. And the reason why I haven't really spoke about this, and really I'm saying it happened more to do with day 7 and day 10, if you're like me and you lived in the UK, then we've had a lot of rain recently. So really I couldn't really go outdoors and explore and test out this camera to its full abilities. But when I have, it has been absolutely amazing. If you have a look at these sort of zoom photos here at 0.5, going all the way up to say a 10 times zoom, it is really, really great. Obviously the actual digital zoom can go up to a 25 times zoom, but to be deadly honest, the picture looks quite distorted at that stage. But I really think that if you're going up to say a 10 times zoom, it's really great. The other thing as well as is portrait pictures have come out super well, as you can see right here. The same with also with macro shots. And then my favorite thing about the camera has got to be with the zoom capability with videos. Now I recently talked about this in one of my other videos, that say with the iPhone 14 Pro Max, if you say started at a 0.5 zoom and started zooming up, at 1.5 zoom you'd have to stop the camera, start the camera again at the 1 time zoom, and then start zooming up again, and you'd get up to say a 6 times digital zoom, stop the camera, and then you'd have to change over to say the 3 times telephoto camera, and then you could start zooming again. It was just really stupid. You had to stop and start. And for example, I've been to like Disneyland and Disney World, and I've started recording things, and I've had to do that. It was absolutely ridiculous. But the great thing is, Apple have done some great improvements, something I absolutely love, and I'm going to say it's probably my favorite feature, is that you don't have to stop the cameras as you zoom. So with the iPhone 15 Pro Max, you can start at a 0.5 zoom and you can go all the way up to the maximum of the video zoom, as you're seeing right here, what is absolutely amazing. And I absolutely love that Apple have fixed that, and the transition of switching over between the actual lenses seems really seamless too, so I really love that. Then after that, I guess it's one thing I do have to say I do hate about the actual cameras, and that is obviously, for example, the Galaxy S23 Ultra does have a far better zoom capability. But I will counter that with saying this, that once you start to go beyond sort of 10 times zoom, unless you're on a tripod or something like this, it's quite hard to keep your phone steady just in your hand to actually sort of zoom up. Obviously, if you put your phone like against a wall or something like this, yeah, you could probably do it better, but you're not always going to get that situation. And I think this is partly the reason why Apple have only introduced a 5 times optical zoom inside their actual phone, because they know this. Most people will be holding their phone in their hand and that you'll be zooming up like that. So they actually have realized this. So that would be my reasoning why it. Don't get me wrong, it would be great if we could have a better zoom capability, but I think a lot of people would probably complain to Apple that, you know, oh, I can only use this ability if I'm on a tripod, for example, and if I use it in my hand, it's absolutely useless. It's really unsteady. I can just imagine it now, that what people would be saying. But overall, after having this phone for 10 days now, yes, I'm going to say I absolutely love it. And in my opinion, I would say if you owned, for example, an iPhone 12 Pro Max or older, with the exception of the iPhone 13 normal and iPhone 13 mini, none of the Pro models, I would say it's probably actually worth upgrading to this phone if you're considering getting yourself, say, an iPhone 15 Pro Max. Like I said, 12 Pro Max and older, or the normal 13 and the 13 mini, yeah, I would actually consider. Because don't forget, as much as you're getting the upgrades with the iPhone 15 Pro Max, you also get all those upgrades that you got with the iPhone 14 models. So for example, Dynamic Island, for example, or Pro Motion Display is something else what you got with the iPhone 13 Pro. And then plus all the upgrades with the 15 Pro Max too, it makes worthwhile to doing that great upgrade. But if you're still on, say, a 13 Pro Max, you're due an upgrade and you don't mind paying the same amount of money, then yeah, probably get one. But if you're on an iPhone 14 Pro Max or an iPhone 14 Pro and you're going, should I get myself a 15 Pro Max? I would personally say I wouldn't bother. I'll probably say leave it another year at least before you do an upgrade. But honestly, those are just my own thoughts. It's up to you. I can't make you buy or not what buy on an iPhone, so it's your choice entirely. But on that note as well, guys, it's time to wrap up this video. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this 10-day review of the iPhone 15 Pro Max. And if you have enjoyed watching it, please do press the like button. And also, if you want to hear the latest Apple news, reviews, and comparisons, make sure you subscribe to this channel and also hit that notification bell. Until next time, guys, I will see you really soon. Take care. Bye.